Hey everybody, Brian the Wild Armenian, carport rat ride builder, whatever you want to call me. Just don't call me late for lunch, and please don't feed me. Heaven knows I've been eating a little bit too much, and that ice cream, whoo, I need to cut off of that. Cut that stuff out. Cut it out, out, out. Hey, look at here. See these old, wife gave me this old pan here. It's your cooking pan, cookies, whatever. And she said, do you want that? Oh, heck yeah, I want that. Throw my tools on there. Look at that. That's a neat tray for tools, you know, almost feeling like a doctor now. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Got the old rusty old fan off. Got the fenders off. Got part of the, good part of the front clip. I got to get these inner fenders and the fender brackets off. And I'm going to peel all this away. And, of course, naturally, get the 302 out of here. And at least they left me some meat. I don't know, remember the first video I started on, I was explaining these brackets, the frame for the flathead 8-cylinder, and these holes, the motor mount goes through here, and then the top part goes into the water pump. And the water pump has the bracket, or it's built into the casting for the motor mounts. And there's 2 water pumps on the flathead 8. They had dual water pumps, right and the left, and they acted as a motor mount, supported the motor, believe it or not, and it worked really well. I have one though. I have a motor mount, so they were broke because the truck got into an accident, not this truck, another truck, and it actually cracked them, but the engine did not fall to the ground. That did not happen. So anyway, back to this 302. This was a 70s model. I'm guessing it's a 2-barrel carburetor. It was. It's got looks like a C4 transmission. And usually the 302, they had the Ford Explorers back then. They were full-size F100s. And if I'm going to guess, that that's what this engine came out of. I don't believe it came out of a car. I really don't, because of the signs of everything like the master cylinder. And I think what happened is they had a truck that flipped or wrecked or totaled, and they pulled everything out like the master cylinder, brake booster, even the proportioning valve for the brakes. And it looks like they used the original lines. And the distance of those lines right there tells me that it came out of a Ford pickup truck, and that's what the big clue was. Now you could say, oh yeah, this might have come out, excuse me, can't even talk right, out of a Ford Granado or a Maverick or an LTD, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. On the count of the lines, and yeah, you can stretch them and all that, but it's just a lot of line there to come out of a car. Cars were a little lower hood and all that, and more of a lower profile. And there again, I may be wrong. Heck, I don't know. I guess we could run the numbers on the motor, but I don't care. I really don't. There's it came out of the parts donor. That's not the original voltage regulator to this year F-Series truck, 50s F-Series, F1 Series Ford. This is, all the alternator and everything, all like 70s model 302. Another thing too, the battery tray. Let me turn. I don't want to get you all seasick, but the battery tray was custom made, angle iron and some look like scrap metal, but very, very, very genius. They really did their homework and did that right. And the Fords weren't like that. They didn't have the battery up on, mounted on the firewalls. Now Chevy, GMs, and I don't know about Chrysler, but I know in the 50s had that, especially the older. I've done a few of those old like 54s and 51 Chevy trucks, but the Fords came from the bottom, the bracket, and it came up about so high, and the tray was like about right here, and the battery was right there. It was in the same area on the Flathead 8s. And then I believe on the Flathead 6-cylinders, I believe it was on this side. I believe, I may be wrong, but I think it was on the tray was mounted some here on this side on the 6-cylinders, the Flathead 6. On the, at least I know 48. I had a 48 like that. Um, this is the come out of the donor fuel accelerator cable. And of course, that's not original. That's to the motor, whatever that donor they got out. The original throttle bracket was right here, and it had a rod that went through and up underneath, up into the engine compartment, and that was actually the fuel pedal. The pedal went on there, and it was all one piece, one bracket, and it came over here, and then it had a rod that went bam to the carburetor on the old flathead, and I believe, yeah, I had an old Flathead 6 F1 series truck. It was the same setup. It's been so long, it really can. It was cost more money to rebuild a Flathead 6-cylinder than an 8-cylinder, so it always made sense. Hey, go with a Flathead 8, of course. Now the Flathead 6-cylinders were really good motor, a lot of torque, and I think they had a little bit more horsepower than the Flathead 8, believe it or not. They're a lot stronger, tougher motor. But unfortunately, it's hard to get parts for them. You can get parts for them, but they're a little bit more costly in rebuilding than a Flathead 8. And the Flathead 8 is not getting cheap to rebuild anymore either. I got a couple of motors. I don't buy stuck motors because every time I get a stuck motor, it's a junk. It's a boat anchor. It's costs more to get it machined than it's worth. There's a fella out in California that does them and all that, and I haven't got that far yet with them, and I've been fortunate. But I understand. I know some folks that's used them, and he's really good. I forgot the name of his business, but he's the only one around Southern California. Anyway, here we go. Get back to this. I don't know yet until I get this motor out and I get this truck up on the jack stands, pull this engine, how bad of shape they left me as far as the clutch pedal or even the bracket for the master cylinder, because I'm going to go with the the master cylinder originally was on the chassis on these trucks, and I'm going to go back with that also. And if they didn't leave me any goodies there, hopefully they didn't get happy with the blue tip, which is the torch. They didn't cut off all that for me, so I can do something there. But if not, I have parts, I have other pieces, so I have to work a little harder. But I'm originally going to go with the clutch pedal underneath. That's another thing too. If I happen to stick with the standard transmission, I might get lucky and find a T5 or transmission, and then that'll be cool, man. If I find one, and if not, then I'll go with a slush box, which is an automatic transmission, and then I may go even with an adapter kit, for the Flathead. But my biggest goal here is I do have an old standard transmission for a Flathead. I'm going to put it in here, just mock up everything for right now. I want to get the old Flathead running, and make sure I don't have any problems, and then that's what at least my goal is, at least that's the plan, that's the plan. At least I think that's what the plan is, but that's what I'm up against, and so I'm moving right along, and I just thought I'd give you all a kind of a quick, brief, update on what we're doing here, and it's kind of exciting, really. I mean, this is cool. I never thought in a million years I would be ripping out. Back in the day, we used to put late model engines like this in, Chevys and, small block Chevys or whatever. And now here I am trying to reverse the process here. And that's not too many people do that. I mean, it is all, people do it, restoring vehicle to their original, and that's what I'm doing, basically. A lot of people say, oh, leave the 302 in there and put air conditioning and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. I want this truck to be old school, I'll drop the front end, make it low, make it cool.